Hello again, welcome back everyone. LiquorHound here with you, and thank you for joining me once again for another spirit review video. Today we've got a couple of new American whiskey releases to take a look at. That being the Eagle Rare 12-year-old bourbon and the Jack Daniel's 2025 Heritage Single Barrel that is toasted oak. Okay, so we're going to be taking a look at these two, and I went ahead and kicked in the Eagle Rare 10 single barrel product. Of course, single barrels are always going to be different. But this one happened to be from a local liquor store here in Texas that I picked up, Fossil Creek Liquors to be exact. This one retail priced was about $40 for the single barrel. Now, the Eagle Rare 12, when it initially dropped, was supposed to be priced around $50. Of course, we were seeing it marked all the way up to 125, somewhere in there. Secondary pricing on it was initially about $200 a bottle. Of course, this is a permanent addition to their lineup. It is not a single barrel. Again, this 10s are still single barrels, 12s are a batch product. But we should start seeing more and more of this as they catch up, right? Because especially since with the tariff situation and Canada's not taking any of our bourbon, there's more for it to sit on our shelves. C.E.H. Taylor small batch for reference there. I'm seeing that everywhere. But the Jack Daniel's Heritage Single Barrel Toasted is 100 proof. Okay, so we're going from 90 to 95 to this 100 proof one. Now, this one's only 7 years old, but remember, these usually are from the upper tiers of the Rick House, and that's why it is the darkest of them all here. If we turn them all sideways, easily the darkest is that 7-year-old Jack, followed by that 12-year-old Eagle Rare 12 and the Eagle Rare 10 being the lightest. Okay, so let's go ahead and give them a nose and a taste, starting with that 90 proof Eagle Rare 10. Again, single barrels, so they're all going to be different. But this one, I will say, is a pretty generic profile for Eagle Rare. It's got lots of, actually, this one's got a lot of that kind of baked apple, the red and golden. Some cherries going on in here. It's fairly sweet, like a toffee, caramel, toffee sweetness to it. Has some nuttiness. For this one, I would call it mostly like slivered almonds, maybe a little bit of pecan. Some good cocoa and a good oak in here. Let's go ahead and taste it. Yeah, medium viscosity, nothing more than that. Nice finish. So it enters, you get all those fruits, those apples, those cherries hitting. Caramel toffee note. Baking spice well on that mid palate. Getting joined with cocoa and leather pretty quickly. Right as soon as that baking spice rolls over, those two notes come in. Big oak starts growing. So as that oak hits mid palate wise, it actually kind of develops a little stronger onto the finish. Hint of orange oil in it, but big resinous oak. It's a great bourbon, great traditional style for an Eagle Rare 10. I do know that sometimes the Eagle Rare 10 single barrels will kick a grape aspect, sometimes grape soda type situation. This one's not doing that. I have had some that have recently been doing that. So just be prepared for that if you're going to be picking up an Eagle Rare 10. Okay, now to the 12-year-old, jumping up from 90 to 95 proof. Much deeper tone altogether. We're into brown sugar for the sweetener here. There's a little bit of that baked red apple for sure. That cherry's developing. It's a little more of a dark cherry. But there's also almost a little plumminess in here that is developed. The oak is in here. The leather's in here. Everything seems a little darker. but there's still the baking spices. There's still like a those kind of vanilla red fruit, kind of like a red licorice thing going on. Let's go ahead and taste it. Nice. More of the first thing I noticed was just above medium viscosity. I wouldn't call it medium high. It's just above medium. Definitely a little richer than that 10. But you're hit right away with that brown sugar. Actually, the brown sugar is almost brought in right away with a little bit of that leather. Early on, you get this leather tone to it. Cocoa shaved, dark chocolate in there. The baking spices show up, but they don't get really hot or anything like that. They just kind of present themselves mid palate wise, kind of roll over. That chocolate, dark chocolate, and the oak are laying out on that finish very nicely. The older leather is in there as well. There's also a nice wood polish. And for me, anytime a bourbon has matured, they get out of that kind of doughy stage. Sometimes, when they're young, you'll get into that. Well, when they're really young, you'll get into the yeastiness, but then they go into like sometimes a pastry note or cinnamon rolls, that type thing. And then when they age up a little longer, they start getting into an apple cider. And that apple cider, when it's aged even further, will get into for me, a polish, a wood polish, mahogany type tone. This one's developed just into that apple cider. It's actually starting to turn into a little bit of polish. Very nice up front. That, again, that kind of brown sugar, a little bit of the toffee, but it's more into a fudge aspect with the dark chocolate. Right there, you get that fruit bang. It's that little bit of, it's kind of a mix with those baked red apples, the plums, and the dark cherries. They rush up early, and then right as soon as you're focusing on that, that's when that dark, chunky chocolate just starts dropping in on top. Some might pick up a little bit of a toasted coffee bean in there on the back end. And the nuttiness here is almonds, but there's also a little bit of a peanut shell, just a little hint, not a lot, but it's not just almonds like this one was. And then that big, big oak and that old leather with that chocolate just running. Very, very enjoyable. I do like that one a little better than the 10. And for only like $10, $20 more, it's worth it to me. Okay, I would not want to pay $200 for that. That's no, it's not to that level. All right, from 95 proof, we're going to 100 proof to that Jack Daniel's Heritage Single Barrel. Let me see if I can read what it says around that neck there. So it says bottling date 9/18 of 25, barrel number 25-06076, and it entered to the barrel 7/12 of 2017. Okay. Again, I'll put more details in the comments, so if you need, if I missed anything, look down there. Wow, that's nice. Yeah, that's really nice. This is on par with like the Jack 10, the Jack 12. It's in that vein, right? This isn't the lots of banana Jack or it doesn't even smell too much like, it's got a little bit of, yeah, it has it. That banana nut bread, it's got that, but there's so much more going on with the fruits and the oak here that actually makes it feel really nice and balanced on the nose. Yeah, this one I would definitely call brown sugar, some kind of baked goods. It is kind of, it's toffee, but then there's also like a little bit of molasses in here, so it's dark, dark. It's got that, and again, banana nut bread is definitely in here. But big, rich oak, some kind of toasted, almost like I would almost call it like a burnt marshmallow, right? Burnt marshmallow. roasted nuts, and these being pecans and almonds, maybe even some walnuts in here. And as far as the fruits, there's also some plums and there's some that's an orange oil, but plums and figs. It's kind of wild on that. Let's see if that follows through on the palate. Wow, that's really nice. Yeah, that's greatness. If you ever see this bottle, it's definitely worth the $70. Even at secondary, I could see paying. Have to get that double taste right. Make sure we're there. Medium, above just above medium viscosity, medium high. It's definitely higher than the 12, but it's not too much past that. I could see paying 125, maybe 150 for it. To be honest, that would be about my max for that bottle. And the only reason is because that viscosity and the oiliness of it isn't as rich as definitely not the 12 for me. But it's got really nice, enjoyable flavors. The banana nut bread definitely is in there, but there is kind of like a bananas Foster where they're caramelized bananas. That's also in here because it's only 7-ish years old. Lovely. Maraschino cherries, almost even with the whipped cream on there. It's almost like a little bit of that banana split aspect going on with those chopped pecans that's in there. There's definitely some walnut in here because I'm picking it's walnut oak, heavy oak, because what we're picking up is a bitterness on the finish. But that bitterness actually works really well because you have all those kind of sweet, fruity characteristics up front. Kind of brings some balance to it. Big char, kind of like a charred tone to the oak, even though it's toasted, right? But when you taste it with that bitterness, it reminds me of barrel char. I'm amazed at how, even here on the finish, I can still pick up all those sweeter, fruitier tones. That banana split aspect, you can still, every time I take it in and blow, come out my nose, it's that banana split thing. That's lovely. That's really, really nice. Again, there's that kind of cocoa leather, older leather chair type thing going on in here as well. But it's everything's really nicely balanced. This one's a great drinker. At $70, yeah, you wouldn't go wrong having a case of that because you would drink through it. It's a very enjoyable drinker. It's rich, it's dense, long finish for what it is. It's not the 12, but it's going to be hopefully easier. Well, hopefully easier to find than even the 12. I really like batch 112. Batch 2 was great as well. To me, I would say this is more of like a one step just before a 10. It's like right there. But fantastic whiskey. So all the way around, if you could only find the Eagle Rare 10, congratulations. It's actually a really solid pour. Even at $40, $50, I'm okay with that. The Eagle Rare 12, I don't want to pay more than, to me, I don't want to pay more than, I don't really want to pay more than $80 for it. $100, I guess if you're in the mood and you have that $100 to go ahead and drop on it, do it. But I'm thinking this might be out soon again. So now, will it be the exact same? Probably not. It's going to be a different batch, but I hope it's going to be still as enjoyable. And the Jack Heritage 2025 toasted. It's great. This single barrel was fantastic. Very enjoyable. It's got those Jack characteristics, but it also has a really nice complexity balance with the fruit, the oak, and that nice little bitterness that was kicking in. But I hope you enjoyed this video review, and if you did, consider joining us over at patreon.com/liquorhound. That's where I'm with your help, I'm able to continue purchasing bottles to review for everyone because I do not get these bottles sent to me by distilleries or by viewers. These are bottles that I actually go out there, pick up, taste, and review for you. So you know you're getting straightforward, unbiased, truthful reviews from me each and every time. And it's, again, I would greatly appreciate your support over at patreon.com/LiquorHound. So for as little as $5 a month, you're going to get these videos ad free. You're going to get them 2 weeks before anyone else does. There's also going to be a bunch of videos out there. Well, there's already is a big library that's never hit YouTube over there. And I also still drop bonus reviews over there that don't hit YouTube. So if you can, join us over there and support this channel. But regardless of platform, I greatly appreciate each and every one of my viewers. Everyone have a great day and cheers.